I'm moving too fast. Get it done. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I'd be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast, didn't even get a glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't shining like it's neon, rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
Hello everyone, welcome to Tottenham Away, the best place to be in town post-match show. We've got a cracking array of superstars across the community here tonight. Look at this lot. Spurs losing 3-2 to Brighton at the Amex. Unbelievable, the circumstances which we'll get into. But before we begin, smash a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell of Tottenham Away, the Hotspur Hood, Spurs Agent TV, and Football Heritage Savage channel. Thank you everyone for being here. We've got over 250 odd in the comments already. This show is going to be a big one. I haven't got time to say thank you to each and every individual person in the chat. So guys, hello. Thanks for being here. Much love to you all. Rather than going around doing a hellos people, let's just get straight into it, right? I want to go first very quickly. And then the floor is open, all right? Before I just briefly explain what happened, a bit of stats, bit of pre-match talk. For the last year, especially last 3 months, the absolute hate and personal abuse that has been dished out, stemming from being Levy out, seriously questioning Ange as a yes man who facilitates mediocre transfers, having argued over so many players and generational talent. Honestly, watching that tonight is everything I've been trying to say to everyone. Even when we beat Man United, I was defiant and I kept saying that Man United team was rubbish. And the fake positivity that I call it, I only speak on behalf of myself, the fake positivity that I call it, and the happy clappy behavior from YouTubers, podcasters, and general fans in the comments is why we're in this situation and why this is no surprise to me. But to them, they're going to be stunned. They didn't see it coming. But we're going to get into it tonight because there's a lot that needs to be said. Before the game, I called it the Battle of the Highlines. Both teams shared ranking in possession, passes, short-range crosses, turnovers, distance covered. You look at the metrics of attacking teams, we were almost joint in terms of our stats. And I shared this image saying this is going to be what the game will look like. What far wrong. Before kickoff, Aston Villa and Chelsea both dropped points, opening up a door for Tottenham to close the gap. And in the pre-match conversation with Sky Sports, the reporter asked, with the way that both teams play, there's an exception that this may be an open contest. So how do you keep it controlled? And his answer was, we don't. Let's keep it open. That way we entertain everyone. Entertain the key word, because that's what fans want at Spurs. It's not about winning, entertain. He's deliberately saying these sound bites, in my opinion. And hopefully, not we will, but hopefully we get the result. The starting 11 was the same back four that we've seen for the pretty much most of the Premier League. The same midfield three as Man United away. And then the front three, he's stuck with Timo Werner, even though he's one of the worst signings in the history of Premier League football, not just Tottenham Hotspur. But, you know, some people were happy when we signed him. We are Tottenham TV. I'm ready to come on your channel when you want me on to discuss. Then at halftime, we're 2-0 up, cruising, kicking ass, dominating possession, more shots, more passes. Clear-cut chances were equal, but we were by far the better team. People on Twitter, Ange is cooking. Where's all the Ange out reactionary idiots? Apparently, I'm an idiot. Very quiet. And look what he says 2 minutes into the second half. I spoke too soon. This is what I'm talking about. Full time, we lost. 3-2 after winning, being in a winning position. Possession, we dominated. Total shots was pretty even. On target, they did better. Passes, we dominated. Clear-cut chances, they beat us. Guys, this is why we get called Spursy. This is why. And the league table, after 6 games going into the international break, 7 games, we are currently 9th. This is the season that Ange said we're going to challenge for the league title. We've won 3 games all season in the league. But because we beat Coventry, Karabag and Fenerbahce, Ange Ball is real. The worst start since Juan de Ramos. 9th in the Premier League, the lowest number of points for 16 years since Juan de Ramos. We've played 7, won 3, lost 3 and 1 draw. The quote from the manager below says it all. Ange Postecoglou was asked about controlling the game. He says we don't, as I've already told you. Ange interviewed after the game. His comment, one that we picked out. Thank you, Dan and Trevor, for this, by the way. Were you tempted to make your subs earlier as the game was turning? Yeah, I could have, but all these things are totally irrelevant. Substitutions and all those kinds of things, if you're not competitive, it doesn't matter what you do. We're not going to get rewards. You don't deserve to win. If you're not competitive, it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to get rewards. You don't deserve to win. We didn't deserve our second half performance. Unbelievable that. Irrespective of our subs or anything else, to get something out of the game. But I think if you do get something out of the game, you've falsely rewarded. And I don't want to get falsely rewarded. That is not the sound of a manager who's a winner. That's insane. Guys, I'm going to leave it with this. And over to you.
Can I?
Right.
Can I just?
Alex, Beatrix, give me 4 minutes. Give me 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Take your time. Take it in turns. But some of us warned about this. Some of us.
Can I?
I'm not going to mention channels or names, but we did say it. Off you go.
I'll just say
for 5 games now. Credit where credit is due. We've won the games. You can only win what you win against. Now let's see what happens when it comes up a team that can play football like Brighton, not a broken team like Man United. First half, fine. That sorry, piss poor excuse of a fucking manager in that second half should be sacked purely for that. We go 2-0. Okay, carry on. It goes 2-1. What does anyone with a bit of logic do? Let alone football fucking knowledge. My own daughter and wife could have outskilled that manager in that aspect. You sit back and you say, okay, let's calm down. Let's muscle the game up, take some crap and go at them again. Nope. 2-0. What does the manager do? Still think, do you know what? Let's not try and control the game. Go for it hell for leather. 3-2, what does he do? Nothing. Stands there like a fucking idiot without a clue on what he's doing and doesn't do nothing until the 78th minute except bring on 2 more defensive style players, take off our only playmaker and then say, right, let's go for the kill. And people are trying to tell me that I'm an idiot for saying why I don't trust Ange. I'm sorry, people. It takes more than 5 games to win me over. That sorry, piss poor excuse of a manager for that second half should be dropped there and then. Done.
Now, I'm going to say this. Let me just say this because it's going to be short and brief. And it's basically to stem off what Stelios is saying. You saw the forum. What did Ange said when they posted the questions, right? Teams that have good offenses that also play good defense, right, to be able to cross the line in winning trophies. And he said, yeah, that's good. That's correct. But we're going to do it the Tottenham way, baby. We're going to do it, mate, the Tottenham way. Today is a perfect example of the Tottenham way. Like Dan just said, you would think at least he would push the play, set up the tactics of having the place go back 10 yards, 15 yards. But no, he's stubborn. He plays the high line, which gives Brighton still hope. Hey, and they got behind us in the first half. We can still come back in this game. Why? Because it leaves our defense so exposed. And so what happened was the Tottenham way, right? Yeah, we're gonna score some goals, but we're going to leak goals, and that's what happened. And we played a good team. This is not Carabag or any other, right? The good teams are going to punish us by the way we play because we don't have the quality to score 5 or 6 goals, right? Johnson scored. Great. Kudos to you. 6 and 6. But what did you do after that goal? Nothing. Right? In the big games. And so I know that I have a manager that I cannot trust in big games because he's not going to make the adjustments defensively to be able to cross that line. I know that now as a fact. Today was an example, right? Because he's not going to change. I'm not only saying this, the pundits at NBC Peacock in the States are saying it. That's Gary Neville and Bobby Earl. The guy's stubborn. So if you're entertained, great. That first half, you love it. That's the Tottenham way. Second half, expect that against the cities, the Chelseas, the teams that can actually score. So I'm not surprised because Anne said this is the Tottenham way. It's entertaining football. Aren't you entertained? We don't have to win stuff, but only be entertained. So there you go. It's the Tottenham way. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'll just go quickly. Like it's gonna be quick and simple. I want to apologize to Scottham for being right as always, and Sava for calling out Romero. Because I'll be honest with you guys, he's been shocking this year. And Kulusevski, I've been praising him all season, but once again, in the big games, where was he? Johnson, I'll never apologize for him because what did he do all game except scoring the goal? Shocking. And I told everyone that this manager's clueless. I'll never apologize to him. Starting Timo Werner is a crime against humanity. And as always, what do? Blow a 2-0 lead in the second half and concede 3 goals and lose the game. And what does a manager do? Nothing, because he doesn't give a shit. And Romero, honestly, this was the worst captain performance I've seen in my life. The first game where you get the armband, what did you do? Nothing. And for Archie Gray, Bergvall, and all those guys, what an absolutely waste of money. They don't even play a single minute all fucking game. And you know what we do? We bring on Pape Matasar and Bissouma to go and score a goal. So you know what? Apologies to Salva for always debating you against Romero and Scottham. They were right. I'll apologize.
What is the point on even having that youth there, Dietrich?
I don't get no apologies.
But
I don't get one apology.
No, I don't like you.
I'm joking.
What is the point of those youth even bloody being there, yeah? They shouldn't be there. They are not ready for this. And it blatantly proves my point now. Fact. They are not ready to come onto a game like this and change it when the shit hits the fan.
Dan,
is it their fault?
We're gonna,
no. But I'll leave it at that.
No. We're going to come on to the players because there's so many things to talk about. But what I want to do, I want to hear what David says because I know he's got a different point of view. I want to hear what Sava has to say. Ian was at the game, so I want to get Ian's perspective and what the mood was with the fans in the terraces. So look, David, you go first, then Sava. Oh, Eugene as well. Have your say on what you think as well, and then we'll go into the players and the tactics and the team and managing the league table and everything else.
Well, I'm glad you said we'll go on to the players because I was just letting everyone listen, everyone get their thoughts across around the Ange. I think it's very naive if you think the manager's solely to blame today. I know that's not necessarily what you guys are saying. You're putting the predominant blame. Okay, fair enough. But I think that's a very naive point of view. I heard a comment there going on about the Highline. None of the 3 goals we conceded today because of the Highline. They all came deep in the final third that we made mistakes in. That we could have stopped, sorry. I mean, the first goal, Porro could have stopped the cross. Van der Ven could have stopped it. The doggy made the mistake at the end and they tapped it in. So that wasn't the high line that cost us goals today. That was individual errors. And I thought our performance in the second half, as much as I was praising us in the first half for being really, really good, I thought we were, by the way. I thought we was very good in the first half. We were equally, if not even more poor in the second half. Our players, an absolute abomination of a performance in that second half. You're right to call out Romero. He was poor. You're right to call out Odoggy. He was poor. Go through the entire team. They were poor. The players were poor today. And the manager, to be fair to him, that's the first time I've heard him come out and actually really criticise the performance, like deep down, and go, that is unacceptable for this team. So the manager knows that was a bad performance in the second half. But he's not going to give the media anything to go on beyond that. He very rarely shows his emotions to the media. So don't take that on that he doesn't care. Don't take that on that he doesn't read too much into it. He's just not giving the media. He's not playing their game. But he also does take a lot of blame today as well. I'm not sitting there saying it's not Angie's fault. What I'm saying is the players have to take a brunt of that poor performance today. Ange can be blamed for his starting 11 in terms of the Werners of the world. Ange can be blamed for his substitutions because I too disagreed with the substitutions he made. Bringing on Sarr, Basuma, taking off Maddison, did not agree with that. Ange can be blamed for his part in the transfers that we brought in that led us to have no attacking options on the bench that he felt worthy to come on and change the game. He can take blame for that. Of course he can. But if you're sitting there watching it as a football fan and thinking the manager actually has 11 players on a piece of string and controls exactly what they do for 90 minutes, then you're a very naive human being, let alone a football fan. He takes the responsibility because he's the head of the organisation of that football team. Of course he does. But the players on that pitch today made individual errors at times in the game that cost us. And you have to have a certain reliance on the players' mentality to go out there and do their job. If they don't do their job, then you're hamstrung as a manager. But he does take the blame for some of that. I'm not saying he's totally blameless. What I'm saying is you can't sit there and blame everything on him. There's a little bit of give and take. The players, I think, need to take the brunt of it. That's David. My point of view.
David, I have one question for you, and this is where you're wrong about the Highline. You gotta understand this. The game, right? Even me as a fan, when you see Brighton is getting that hope, hey, we can get behind these guys. Yes, you have the individual errors, but the momentum change when you give these guys the opportunity that the Highlight brings, right? They take advantage, that they put that pressure on us, that second half, that led to errors. When you control the game, when you're able to push your players back, right? It's much harder than easier than to put our players in a position to make those errors. So yes, you're right, they made those errors, but the pressure that Brighton kept coming at us is because we played the high line. We're up 2-0. Can't we put our players back?
How can they be putting us under pressure when we're playing a high line? That's an oxymoron.
No, wait, Murray, David, one second. David, let me step in here. One second. I've actually taken screenshots and put something together to show after we all speak, and I think it will answer these questions. The only thing I would say of what you've said, David, is if the players are at fault, who signed them all, and why did they not get taken off?
And I mentioned that in my thing. He has to take responsibility for the players he's brought. Of course he has. But you've got to give players some license to go out there and prove themselves to do a job out there, right? That's my point on that. no manager in the world micromanages the players for 90 minutes in a game of football.
Yes, they do.
They have to take
Yes,
some
they do.
responsibility when
Pep
they step
does
on
it.
the pitch.
Jose Mourinho, Conte.
Do you
They do
find
that
it a
every
coincidence
second
though?
players.
But
Pep does
do
it.
you not find it a coincidence though? This always happens against the top 10 teams. The fact we've only beaten one.
I don't
top
think
10
Brighton
team
played
since
that
December.
well.
But Dan, we
Brighton
lost.
didn't practically outdo us.
But we lost.
We
Second
were
half,
just
yeah.
very poor individually as players.
Hold on. My point is this. I do want to come to the others. I don't want to take over. My point is this. To only beat one top 10 team since December, we're now 10 months into it. At some point, you've got to point at more than just the players and say, hold on, this always happens. It happened against Newcastle and Arsenal already this season, and now Brighton.
And it will happen again if we get a different manager in. What I'm saying is then players are not good enough. That's a different argument. We didn't lose today because of our tactics. We lost today because our players are not good enough.
David,
You can have a right Ange for that.
Let's have a go next. I'll tell you what. Let's have a go next because I know he wants to counter it, and then after Sav, we'll do Ian and Eugene as well. Let's have a go.
I'm embarrassed for. Listen, I'll call it as it is. I'm embarrassed for your statement, David. I'm truly embarrassed. It's that sort of attitude.
Which one?
All of it. I'm absolutely embarrassed. You've literally ended all of what you just said there with our players aren't good enough. Brighton had 6 first-team players out injured. 6 first-team players out injured. Their midfield, one was 19, one was 20. One of their wingers was 20. Their goalkeeper's 22. Their 2 centre-halves are slow, right? If we're going to say our players aren't good enough every time Ange loses a game to a top-half team, then we need to stop this and get rid of him, if that's what we're really going to say. Because one minute, everyone's talking about how good these players are. Romero, Van der Ven, look at this partnership. They're brilliant. Dogi and Porro. And right, the next minute, we're losing to a Brighton team decimated with injuries in no form at all. Brighton have not won a league game for 43 days. For 43 days, Brighton have not won a league game, right? Ipswich went there and got a draw. Nottingham Forest went there and got a draw. But when it's Tottenham, it's the players aren't good enough. No one is going to tell me player for player today, other than a few, such as Matoma, who was absolutely phenomenal, right? No one's going to tell me that player for player, their players are better. And the reason we didn't win is because our players aren't good enough. I'm sorry, but to back on from what Stel said, right? This is the most defeats from any team in the top half of the table. This is let that sink in. The top 10, we've had the most defeats of any club. Nottingham Forest have lost 1. Newcastle have lost 1. Yet Fulham, who just lost their best player in the transfer window, lost 2, right? We're one of only 4 teams.
I'm a bit confused what we're debating. Spurs in general or Spurs today?
I'm sorry.
My point was today. We weren't good enough today. The players were not good enough today.
No,
they might not be good enough in general. That's what I'm just a bit confused about.
Hang on.
Sava's saying today's a reflection of what's been going on in general.
This isn't today. We need to stop doing this. This is not today. This is if the manager continues to play these tactics. You're 2-0 up away from home. Most managers. I'm not saying you have to play with 10 men behind the ball, but you shut up shop. You take a bit of sting out the game. You go out for the first 10 minutes of the second half. You keep things simple. Not Ange. Ange wants to go gung-ho. Ange doesn't know how to do it.
I would tend to agree with that statement, Seb. I would agree with that statement, Seb. They were individual mistakes that cost us the 3 points.
No, I'm not having this, that every time we lose, all I ever hear every time we lose, when we lost to Newcastle, it was individual mistakes. The way he sets up...
I'm not talking about other games. I'm talking about this specific game.
Let me finish. I didn't interrupt you once, right? Every time we play a game, it's individual mistakes. Have we ever thought that maybe these individual mistakes are occurring because of the way he sets up the team and the panic that it causes? Yeah. We're looking at the mistakes there for that first goal when Matoma's absolutely roasted Porro. That's not an individual mistake. Porro's just not a good right back. He gets roasted. The ball comes in. Van der Ven misses it, and Adogi, again, another who can't defend. Everyone wants to tell me how great these defenders are. None of them can actually defend, right? But I'll go back to my point to finish it off before I hand it over, right? We haven't beaten a top-half team since March. We're one of only 4 teams to lose 3 of the last 5 games. That's embarrassing. That's truly embarrassing when this man has had nearly £400 million, right? This is the worst start to a season since One Day Ramos, right? We've lost 3 of 7. And I'm hearing fans out there saying, we could be in a title race. Watch what Ange does. Do you know how many teams have lost? Do you know how many games are lost by teams that have won the league in the last 4 or 5 seasons? The most is 6. The most is 6. And the least is 2. And we've got fans. My point to all of this is we're not learning. We're not learning from game to game. We're not learning. We're getting hyped up over really poor signings. We're getting hyped up over kids who aren't ready. We're getting hyped up over a manager that's never done it in a top league. And then every time a game like this comes around, we have excuse after excuse after excuse because of a manager that stands on the sidelines like this and then literally, as Stel read out, doesn't see the point in changing things because he doesn't want an undeserved point. What are we doing here? Is this elite level football or is this Sunday League? What are we doing here? This man is a clown. He is a clown. He's starting to sound like the David Brent of football managers. He's just saying nonsense. I'll hand it over. I'm sorry. At some point, as fans, we've got to be completely honest here and just say this manager isn't good enough against the top 10. I don't know how many games you have to see this before we turn around and acknowledge this manager does nothing. Can anyone right now tell me a game where Spurs have tweaked in a game and he has actively changed things? He don't do anything. As Dan said, he takes off a forward and puts on 2 defensive midfielders when we are losing. Then when he brings on Mikey Moore with 5 minutes to go, takes off James Maddison, our chief playmaker. It's this guy, everything he does is amateur. I'm done. Like Mr. Box Office said, back to you, Stel.
Listen, guys, it's all opinions. Everyone's allowed theirs. And it's good that we've got a difference of opinions because it represents what fans think, right? Ian, you were at the game. I did tell you on the way back from Manchester that Man United was shit and we were arguing about it. And you told me, just be happy, just be happy. I said, Ian, they were crap. How was the journey home today? What was the conversation like in the car?
How was the conversation? I think we're all, the four of us were all in fairly much agreements. I think, yeah, if you look at the 2 halves, start with the first half, knowing the way Ange selects his team, I think Thursday was an anomaly because he's normally very safe with his selections. So there was never any chance of him picking Mikey Moore for a second game in front of Werner. First half, thought we played well, thought we played with confidence. We should have finished the game first half comfortably. I mean, apart from the one cross where the guy got in front of Romero and put it wide, I think there was a header that went wide. I don't remember Vicario having too much to do first half. And we should have actually put that to bed. And it's funny, actually, because I spoke to my son at half time. He was watching it from home. And he said, you know, what's nice today is they're playing with confidence. So to be faced, to see what they came out with in that second half was literally from one extreme to another. I think they smacked of unprofessionalism. They thought they would come out second half and just stroll through the game. They thought they had it won already. There was no passion. There was no intensity. There was nothing. And there was what was very apparent was there was no leader at all in that team.
Agreed.
No, they come out, Brighton have hit us early with an early goal. So, okay, get everyone round and say, right, guys, we're 2-1 up. Now we lock it. Now we make sure we win every ball, every single tackle, everything. We've got to win. We've got to see this out. And it's funny because not much happened in the next 7 minutes. I remember looking at the clock and saying, well, we've gone 7 minutes since they scored. It's 55. Have we ridden the storm? Because we were just knocking the ball around at the back quite a bit after they scored. And you think, you know, you played well, you've given away an early goal. That wouldn't be a trigger at that point to make a substitution. Then we give away that stupid second goal. And at 2-2, you're thinking, right, now change it. You've got to change it. Now bring some subs on. Nothing. They carried on. They were second best to everything. There was no intensity. There was no speed. When we had the ball, we didn't move it quickly like we did the first half and at Old Trafford. It was like, Jesus, it was horrendous. And you could just see the third goal coming. And the third goal, I mean, Benson Cole was right in front of us. How did he not clear that into Rosette? For Christ's sake.
He was dreadful today, by the way.
Oh,
He was atrocious today.
And for me, I think I put a text out on your group still, where I said you've got to put Dragusin on for Romero, who doesn't look interested. The guy he's made so many ricks. He's out of position. I'm sorry, he just doesn't look interested. His head's in Madrid. So I would have pulled Romero off for Dragusin. I would have pulled Udogie off, whose head went. He was just clueless today. Second half, I would have put Spence on for Udogie straight away. Benson Cole was having a mare. I would have pulled Basuma on for him, and I would have put Mikey Moore on for Werner. And I would have made those 4 changes within a minute or two of 2-2. And then you've got a chance, and then, right, now let's settle down. But no, he stood there with his hands in his pockets, and everybody around, all of us were saying, when's he going to make a change? When's he going to make a change? Brighton are making changes. They're bringing on fresh players. When are we going to make a change? It's all Brighton.
Four changes they made.
I would make 4 changes in one go, Dan, because I think we were that poor at 2-2, and you could only see Brighton scoring again. It was just unprofessional to go out and think you had the game won and not go out and give any effort. It was disgusting. The second half was disgusting. The players were all poor, all of them. I mean, for me, that was the worst.
Can I ask you a question quickly? What was the mood of what was the general feeling amongst fans in the away section after the game?
Completely pissed off. Just really, really pissed off. It's like, how can I put it? It's nothing has changed, has it? Apart from the Poch years. We had a few months with Conte. Nothing much has changed. We've got no leaders in. They don't buy leaders. When they go into the transfer market, for me, Romero and Maddison, who are the captains in this team, didn't play like captains second half, didn't behave like captains. There are no leaders. There's nothing. Can you imagine Roy Keane? Someone like a Roy Keane. When we went 2-1 or even 2-2, what would Roy Keane have said to those players? He wouldn't have.
Ian, Spurs don't want players with balls. As all Spurs like Levy and all that want, and everyone in the club, they don't want men with a pair on them.
But everyone was praising this team, Dan. Hang on a minute.
Phil, they played well
the last 4 months. I've heard nothing but the defense of the manager, the tactics, the signings. I've heard nothing but amazing. They're progressing. The final pieces of the puzzle are coming together.
He played them.
Cannot now just flip the opposite.
He played them in.
This is why I blame fans, and people have a go at me for blaming fans. Where's all the we were amazing generational thumbnails? Where are they?
The Tottenham was superb today. They gave him the run of the wing. They had inverted fullbacks, out of position. I felt sorry for Porro because Matoma was terrific. He really was there. I thought it was.
You feel sorry for him because he can't defend.
While we play this system that is total chaos, nothing is going to change. Now, for me personally, go and get Tuchel. He's the best manager at the moment who's out of a job. Unless anybody can tell me anybody else who isn't in a job at the moment that could come in and would make these players play better, because with a proper manager and a proper system, we will get better results.
I agree. Yeah, that's why I'm not going to blame the players, Ian. I blame them for a lot, but I think the players are better than what this manager is showing. I agree with everything you said.
But they've got to take some sticks.
How much better are they, though? Honestly, how much better are they?
How much better are they?
I'm going to say this, too, because, David, I got to go back to it. I said this on Sava's channel, and everybody knows I'm a huge Argentina supporter, and and I support Romero. I criticize him when it needs to be. But on Salva's stream, I said today for some of those goals, I'm like, where is Romero? I'm seeing him trying to play the 6, and I'm like, structure. You need to stay disciplined, even in the chaotic system as the Highline. You need to stay where you're at. We cannot afford you to come and move from position to play the 6, because then it leaves your mates, it leaves your teammates in trouble. And so even the structure of how we set up against good teams is going to destroy us. And so today I saw from that defense no structure whatsoever. That's starting from Romero, BDV, Yodoji, Poro. Like, it was just terrible. And for me, I'm like, that type of system structure will never win trophies. How can you trust that if we have a lead in the semifinal, say against Chelsea, that we are going to do what is must to cross that line? I don't trust that because of this manager. It starts from him. That's why players, but if it was Jose Mourinho or any other Tuchel, would have reamed Romero, said, get back in position. Why are you trying to play the number 6? We have no 6 in the system. We don't need you to play 6. Stay as a center back. But all we see is him. He folds his hands. It goes like this.
You can't
He's
make
not
this
likable at all,
without
Mark.
6.
He is not likable. I don't care what anyone says. I don't think, and I find the arrogance is overwhelming for me. The arrogance of a man that's never achieved anything outside of the poor leagues. You can only be in the leagues you're in, but he talks like he's Pep Guardiola and it's all going to click. He talks like he's Ancelotti. And who on earth is he to turn around and say that he wouldn't want a point because we might not have deserved it? What is that? Like, how? What? What?
Do you know what, Sava? Sava, do you know what? I honestly get the feeling with this manager, and this, I've probably been slammed more for calling him a yes man than anything else. But the reason I call him a yes man is because he's part of the failed formula of Enoch and Levy, where he accepts the situation and he tolerates this mediocrity that is Spurs and the way it's run. Like, I'll give an example. He's clearly been trained and he's clearly been versed, whether it's Donna Cullen or the PR team at Spurs, to say words like the Tottenham way. I'm here to play entertaining football. These sound bites aren't him thinking that. He's been trained to say this, and he deliberately drops them in interviews because I guarantee you this ownership have done, they must have access to data we'll never see, right? The kind of data analytics on the fan base. And they must have run surveys and assessed the mood of fans on social media, depending how we play and what the scores are. And I reckon that this club knows as long as we're entertaining or the illusion of it exists, fans are on board. And he's bought into that because that's what he says all the time. How can you sit there and say, let me read it again, his exact words. Let me get the quote up. Sorry, it's just this one. This one, yeah. This one blew my mind away. Let me just get rid of that post off the thing. Where he said, the reporter said, look, it's going to be an open game. You both play the same way. How are you going to control the game? And his response is, we don't. We keep it open. That way we entertain everyone. That right there is a PR-trained soundbite that he is versing. And hopefully we get the result. Most fans, though, when they see that, will go on social media and say, what? My manager. But then we lose, and then everyone wants to throw their toys out the pram and complain about the manager. It's like, but hold on. You can't do that when it suits you. Do you guys get the feeling that Ange has been trained to say Spurs things, like Spursy comments?
That's why I keep saying, people say, oh, Ange just said we're going to do this, we're going to do that. He's happy with the transfer window. And I say, ignore everything he says. Don't judge the players on the team and the results on what he says, because it's rubbish. And we are all clever enough to see through that rubbish. Forget what he has said. Please. It's
Can I say
nonsense.
something?
The whole thing's
Yeah,
nonsense.
Eugene.
Yeah, can I say something? Yeah.
Go on,
Eugene, go
Eugene.
for it.
Yeah. My sentiments to all you guys, what you're saying. Yeah, everything's correct about what's happened here, right? But I want to go back, and from day one when he came in, he was brought in like what Dan says, just as long as he kicks the football forward.
Eugene, you need to speak up a bit. The volume's a bit low.
Volumes. Hold on. Is it
Or
better now?
just shout louder. Just talk louder. Just talk louder.
Okay. Oh, you know why? Because it's about 5 a.m. in Malaysia here now. So, right. So, okay. It is what it is.
Wake up.
Yeah. What I feel now, right, is like I'm being groomed. Guys, don't you feel it? That we are being groomed, right? For not, how do you say it? We are being groomed to accept losses. When Ange came up with statements like attack, concede, and comfortable, remember when he said that? I put the equation is that we're going to lose. You can say that. We're going to lose because today is the proof. We went 2-0 up. But even when we went 2-0 up in this game, right, there were chances in the first half. If Brighton was a bit sharper, right, they could have gotten 1 or 2 goals. It could have been 2-2. But because we went 2-0 up, right, it covered over the cracks. And everyone was very happy. I was doing the watch along, everyone was very happy. In the first half, when we went 2-0 up, I was alone. In the second half, people started to jump on, right? But once we jumped on, right, and the collapse started, I was shouting, right, we're 2-2 down, make changes, like what Ian's saying, the whole stadium was saying, right? And now we are all in this position again. You understand? So, whatever happens from now, right, it's going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. And every time, right, he doesn't come up, right, with the proper words as a manager. Pre-match, that statement that he says shows us that he's not telling us that we can win. Yes or not? He's telling us he's going to entertain us. And I guess majority of the fan base accepts it, right? So it doesn't matter. And what Stel says is correct. I've been saying it, right? Ange has been brought in, right, to be a deflection and a distraction from the actual bigger issue. But while the football, right, is entertaining, we are distracted. So, and when something like this happened today, right, the pendulum swings again. You get what I'm saying? So, like I've been telling you guys, I don't care about Ange, whether he's here, he's not here, because like what Stel says, it's all pre-programmed. After what we went through, the other 2 managers who are win now managers, this manager comes in, right, with 20% or 30% of the pay that has been paid from the other top managers that were here. It's just another, right that we had to go through. Along the way, this causes more confusion, right, in the fan base, right? Fans like most of all us sitting here on this panel and most of all you guys in the chats, right, who are here to listen to what we want to say is that I don't give an F, right? Who is the manager? Just get me a trophy. That's it, right? Have a plan to get me a trophy. But today, what we saw, right, it's like there wasn't a plan, right? The plan was to what? Score 2 goals, right? Concede early, right? And they equalized, and still we just sat there and did nothing. Is that the players?
Eugene, don't you think the plan is just to attack at all costs, regardless of the situation, and the game management is just keep attacking, regardless, because that's who we are. Is that not the tactic every game?
No, the thing is like this, right? His honestly, right? Like you said, if this is a PR move, right? He's been given PR sound bites, right? He is, like I said, I feel like I'm being groomed for something. Yes, sense, all this information coming up from the club and from him, I'm being groomed. Right,
we got the picture.
We are allowed to accept a failure.
Don't keep saying that. Stop keep saying that.
Yeah.
Listen, Eugene,
we got the picture, mate. Don't worry, the snooker's on later.
Let me do a couple of super chats.
Okay.
Eugene, let me jump onto a couple of super chats quickly because they've all piled up and I've just realised I haven't done any. A user, big up to you, who says we were too complacent, not finishing chances and mentality. Henry Thong TV, what a channel that is, if there is one. If it was to happen, who would you come in for Ange? I think Tuchel's a name that's been mentioned.
Tuchel.
CMO, big up to Connor and Tuchel. How's Werner getting 80 minutes? It's happened again. We will discuss Werner. Big up to Alex, who put in a super sticker earlier on. Thank you so much. Bring it, big boy. Says we got our Tottenham back. The race for the relegation spot. I don't think we'll get relegated, but I get what you mean. Christopher says, who is worse, Ange or Ten Hag? Well, you'd say Ten Hag's won 2 trophies in 2 years. So I think
more than Tottenham have won in 25 years.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Although Ten Hag has spent a lot of money as well, but so have we. Ian says, Ange got tactically outplayed by a manager half his age that has also never managed in the Premier before. Ange has never had to change his tactics in any league he's managed. That's why he has no clue what to do. Guys, do you think there's some validity in this? And by the way, before we discuss that, there's over 900 people watching. Please smash a like for the channel. Follow Sava, follow Dan, follow David, follow Eugene, follow the guys. Their channels are fantastic. Make sure you show your support. Yeah, let me read that out again and let's discuss. Ange got tactically outplayed by a manager half his age who's also never managed in the Premier League. Ange has never had to change tactics in the leagues he's managed. That's why he hasn't got a clue what to do.
Still, can I tell you what's worrying about this, right? Is for me, it's that it seems like a lot of these managers tend to let Spurs do what they need to do for 45 minutes, then go in and make the tactical changes they need to make at half time to outgun Ange Postecoglou. And someone said to me earlier, if you actually look at all of our away games this season, right? Leicester City, brilliant first half. Their manager changed a few things. We were crap second half. Yeah. Right? Newcastle United, I thought we were very good first half. Second half, I think we had a lot of the ball, but without really creating anything. And then we conceded. So again, it was a first half where we yes and then no. Who else? And then today, the only anomaly is Man United.
Well, Coventry away, Sava. He changed it at half time and went longer. More in the second half, didn't he?
Yeah, the only anomaly for me is Man United, who in the second half when they came out had 10 men, right? And this is the problem. Managers are figuring him out in game. This is, Hertzula, or apologies if I've mispronounced his name, 31 years of age, right? Oh, to be 31 again. But he's 31 years of age. He's gone in at half time. Whatever he's done at half time is absolutely superb. They came out with a spring in their step. Belieber, that young Belieber in midfield who is 19 or 20, won like every single tackle against Maddison, against Bentancur, against Koulibaly.
He's been good all season for Brighton. He's a good signing.
He is. But my point is still a young kid going in there against what's supposedly meant to be this brilliant Ange team and these Ange tactics. And their manager figured out first half, didn't he? If you watch the first 25 minutes of that first half, Brighton didn't lay a glove, did they?
No.
Watch the last 15 minutes, they realised Matoma and Khalidoglu on that left-hand side started to double up and they got cross after cross. What did they do all second half? Every time someone looked up, it was Matoma. And if they couldn't get it to him, let's go out to Minte on the right. They figured us out in 45 minutes still. And our manager never, ever in game. Never in game. Do you see him like today? You would turn around and say, right, Porro and Udogie are getting absolutely taken apart at fullback, and they were. If anyone says they weren't, they're lying. They got
destroyed today.
They got destroyed. Most managers,
especially with Toma.
Let's do something here. I don't know whether it's going with 3 centre halves, whether it's drop somebody in who's going to sit in front of Porro and in front of Udogie, so that we actually are sitting back and defending these attacks. He stands there with his hands on his hips when he makes the changes. You, me, Dave, Eugene, all of us, we could have gone down to the bookies, put our mortgage on the first 2 substitutions being Papasar and Basuma, no matter what the score, because this guy has got no flexibility at all. When it's going well, it's fine. When it's not, who here thought he was going to do something to change it up, go to a 4-4-2,
Sava.
a 4-5. He don't do anything.
Even
you know
I
what,
once
actually-
sat there and said, why hasn't he made any changes yet? And it's only in the past 6 months that she has learnt what offside is, for God's sake, because she's actually been forced into watching football with me and does it for me. She
Just to
even
add-
said, why?
1 second.
Why ain't
Dietrich.
he doing nothing?
Yeah.
Why is he not doing anything? And I'm like, it's just the way he is, mate. And that's all I
Mate,
can
he
say
does.
to her.
He
That's
never
all I can
talks.
say. The
Dan,
annoying
it's
thing
all
is,
part
last
of
bit, Dietrich, last bit,
Yeah.
that last game against Man U, I actually see him make a couple of tweaks for the start of the game. Yeah. I actually see a couple of changes, and I thought, do you know what? Maybe there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I weren't saying I'm engine, nothing of the sort. It's going to take more than 5 boxy games to change my mind round. But I thought, do you know what? Maybe, just maybe, this fella's got a brain on his head. Did he have to change anything at half time?
That's going well,
No, he
Dan.
did. No, he didn't with Man U. But then, as soon as it comes to a game like today, when all of a sudden it all starts changing around, he might as well stick. He sits there like that, scratches his head, and I don't know what ball to stick him on, but he needs to be on one of them, mate. The fella has not got a clue.
Can I, David? I want to bring some stuff up, right? Because you don't think it's so you don't blame Ange as much. You think the players need to take a lot of accountability, right? I just want to bring some bits up.
Just to clarify, it's not that I don't blame Ange. It's similar to what Savage said. He said that the manager changed things at half time. Tottenham actually came out that second half the better team again, and then we made mistakes and we let in the goals, and then Ange didn't change anything. That's when I criticise Ange. That's the point I criticise Ange, because once things changed, he didn't change anything. That's where I'll back up the criticism on Ange. But tactically, it weren't a tactical thing that cost us those goals. It was individual errors. And then Ange needs to step up and change it, and he didn't. That's where I'll back up.
Can I
answer that?
Ian, I just want to bring some bits up. Okay? I just want to put this out there, right? I disagree, and I want to show you why I disagree. And then we can discuss it, right?
Disagree with what part? Sorry,
that tactically is where we came unstuck. Ange not changing the tactics. I want to show you what I mean by it.
Bear in mind, we were 2-0 up on top until we started making mistakes at the back.
Let me show you, and then we'll discuss, right? Because I believe Spurs are really, really good against teams that give us loads of space in behind. Any team that gives us space in behind, 8 out of 10 teams, we're going to bury them. But our weakness is if we give in space behind to teams when either Van der Ven isn't in the squad or when they've got players that can actually hurt us down the flanks, then we're in trouble as well. And that's what happened today. Let me show you what I saw, right? So look at the first goal, and it backs up my theory. So the first goal, the ball goes to Johnson. That big space in behind is what we want. Teams that give us that's gold to us. If you look at the second goal, when Werner broke free and attacked, again, that's what we want. And Brighton kept giving this to us. In fact, Werner went in on goal in the first 20 seconds, if I remember. Now, in the second half, look what we did. We weren't quite high up, but we gave that same space to Brighton. And I've circled at the top where the ball is. Brennan Johnson doesn't shut down his man. So he's to blame. And then the ball gets played because we've given that space. Here's the funny thing. Here's the second goal Brighton scored. Once again, that big space. And look who hasn't shut down again out wide. Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson twice failed to shut down the wide man. And we gave that same space. Look, the exact same space that Brighton gave us. So they did the same, but this time we exploited it. And one thing I noticed about Brighton that they did that we couldn't, and this is where I'm going to go in on Dominic Solanke now, right? In the first half, Brighton, they got in between. They got in between our man, our back two. Sorry,
Romero
this is the ball to Welbeck. Right, I've put an arrow between the centre backs. He has broken through the centre backs, and if you look at the goals that Brighton scored as well, guess what? 5-on-1, poor defending. But then when the ball comes in, look at Welbeck. Split. But 1 second, I'm going to bring it back. He splits the two centre backs. I've put the arrow. And for the second goal as well, there's one more I've missed, which was this one. For the second goal as well for Brighton, they split the centre-backs again. So one thing I noticed was we gave them space and they exploited it. They gave us space, we exploited it. But they managed to split the centre-backs with their striker. Solanke didn't. Solanke never once split their centre-backs, although he did give a good assist to Johnson, which I will credit him for. But as a striker, I want to see you split those centre-backs.
He's never up front, still.
But what I'm struggling with this still is I don't know what point you're making, because all you've done is proven that tactically we've got in a position where we've got more numbers than their players, but our numbers there have done poorer than their lesser numbers. Is that a tactical mistake or an individual mistake?
No. The point I'm making is at 2-0 up. No, wait, hold on. Murray, let me answer it. Let me answer it.
No, that was a question I want to ask still.
Yeah, I want to answer it. The point I'm making is at 2-0 up, don't give them that space behind, man. You don't need to do it. Manage the game. You're on the road.
Thank you.
Manage it. Hit them on the counter. 3-0 done. But what he did was he kept giving them that space. He literally said, you know what? You're not that good because we're 2-0 up. You ain't going to hurt us. Oh, yes, they did. And he should have learned, because commentary did it to us. Leicester did it to us. He doesn't learn because he's so stuck in his method. He doesn't want to say, do you know what? I'm going to drop the
defense. Can you put that first screenshot back up still? The first goal. The first goal.
Scored.
When we had 3 players in the box to their 1 and they still managed to score.
Brighton's, that was the winner.
Brighton's first goal. No, the first goal. Yeah, out on the left wing. Matoma put the cross in. He put the cross in. It went past 3 Spurs players to get to their 1 player.
The first goal's here.
Yeah, because they're 14 there. He obviously wasn't in the box when the ball actually went in the box. It went to the 17,
no,
right? But if you're looking at it as a tactical... But if you're looking... What my point is...
Yeah.
My point is, from a tactical point of view, our back 4 there is in an okayish shape until Porro gets spun in behind by the left winger.
That's not a good shape.
Look at the space
That's
behind.
not a good shape.
Where did the ball go, by the way, from this? It went down the left channel. It didn't go in behind our centre backs, just for context.
That is not a good line for a back 4. When look at the gap.
You said okay, not good.
No, it's not. It's not even okay. Any coach in
the
ball
world went down the left wing, Sava. It didn't go over the top. You've got to give context to that screenshot.
I'm trying to. You keep cutting me off, right?
David, the point is they got him behind. That's the point.
And David, before that,
let's have a speak. Murray, 1 minute. Sava, go and finish. Let's have a finish.
Anyone who's coached, anyone who ever goes to coaching sessions and watching people put on, first of all, if a winger is picking up the ball, okay, if you can bring that screenshot back up still, they have got the ball, right? And on the left-hand side, the gap. That wasn't this one.
So Brighton's goal. Yeah, I've got a lot of slides here.
Yeah,
this one.
Yeah,
right?
that one.
Their winger's got the ball, right? Or their fullback, whoever that is on the ball.
Yeah, he's about to play the left winger in behind Porro, isn't he?
Hang on. Let me get there. Jesus Christ, right? The back 4 can be undone there by 1 7 or 8 yard pass from the fullback to the winger. And you've got all of that grass. Now, I'll tell you why you notice why it's not a good line. Look at their body position. Look at all of their body positions. Look at all of their body positions. None of them are looking at what's around them. None of them are looking at what's around them. They're not even in a straight line. They should be 10 yards, maybe 5 to 10 yards deeper, so that when the ball comes in, they're set and ready to go. So this whole, they're in a good line. That is not a good defensive line. Look how bunched up the pitch is. They're playing for offside.
And Sava, before this goal happened, listen. They had a chance to score previously before that. What I'm saying is, when you put your team in that position, when you put that pressure, the momentum shifts, and that's where the errors come in. Because now it's like, we're being pelted by opportunities, right? There you may think in that position, okay, we were okay there, but we made individual error. No, the game has already changed because you're playing the high line, right? Where you have a 2-0 lead, you can basically at least push back 10 yards, but you give Brighton hope that, okay, you know what? We can get behind on these guys. We may not score here, but on the next time, we're going to put that pressure on and score. And that's what happened. They kept peltering and peltering and peltering because they had opportunities, they had chances, all because Ange didn't want to change. I'm telling you exactly what Gary Neville said. And he's a professional. What he said post-game in the States. Like, Ange is stubborn. Right? He's not talking about individual errors. He's saying Ange is stubborn. Ange is stubborn about what? You're up 2-0. You have to adjust. You have to.
Mario, I don't get it. Every time we concede a goal, we go individual error. At what point are we going to blame these tactics?
Can you
tactics are totally we know that.
Can I answer Sava, because he came back at me? He was replying specifically to me. And I agree with you. That defensive line isn't great. What I said is it's not in the worst position at that point in time. You said the key thing that I agree with, and I think it's the players. You said the players were not looking where they are. And that's where I think it went wrong from that point of view. I don't think the line is brilliant, but I also don't think it was a line that cost us. It was the players not looking around to see where the opposition were. At the end of the day, you can be the best manager in the world, but if the players on the pitch are not taking responsibility for what they're meant to be doing at that point in time, it's hard to criticise the manager because the line isn't the worst. It's not the best.
David, I'm sorry, look.
So it's his tactics to tell the players not to look around them where the opposition are.
Hang on, David, right?
You said yourself, their body shape is not in the right position. Their body shape, i.e. the individuals.
Yeah, sure. But they're his tactics in the first place that have them that high, right? It doesn't matter whether we're home, whether we're away, what we're doing. He plays this high line, right? Now, whether or not we want to say that's as high as we've seen it before, Spurs know that they've got Minte and Mitoma, who are bloody quick wingers that like taking their man on. Spurs also know that Pedro Porro and Udogie aren't good defensively. So why on earth put ourselves in that position where we're going to allow Mitoma to have all that space to whip in a ball? Now, listen, Udogie, ultimately, for that goal, should have cleared the ball. Sure, but we invite it on. And we did it all game. We invited that on. And let's be fair, in that second half, they should have wrapped it up. How many counterattacks did they have against us in that second half where they didn't pick the right pass? And it's time and time again, a top manager tactically, you're 2-0 up. I'm not saying you have to, as I said at the beginning, Dave, I'm not saying you need to go, right, we're all going to go 10 behind the ball. But surely you say to yourself, right, there's no need to do anything silly. Yeah, drop 5 yards, calm the game down, get it to the hour mark, 2-0. The crowd will get on their back. Nope, 3 minutes. What was it? 3 minutes, 4 minutes into the second half?
3 minutes. 3 minutes.
3 minutes into the second half. And you just said, David, we came out, we were the better team second half. 3 minutes into the second half.
You said it on your stream as well. We should have been 3-0 up straight after half time. We missed a chance. They went back up the other end, and that's where their goal came from. We came out the first minute or two.
I just don't understand how many weeks we had this when we lost to Newcastle. It was individual mistakes.
Yeah, no. Sava, can I just state that as soon as that first Brighton goal goes in, we should have changed, and Ange didn't change. That's where my criticism for Ange comes in. The moment that first goal went in, he should have changed it.
His
first goal didn't come from our tactics.
So Dave,
can I? Yes, 100%.
Management is what we're talking about, right? I agree.
100% from that point.
David,
you in the middle.
Can I add just a bit of my coaching knowledge on this one, right? The way we play is he wants us high and he wants us there, because if you win the ball there, the distance from where you win the ball to goal is shorter. So you're better off winning the ball high up, only because it's less distance to travel to get to goal. That's the whole idea of pressing high. Likewise, the defense, they instigate the press because they push everyone forward. Some say it's the front that started. No, it's the back line. They push everyone forward. But the issue I've got with this all is this. I just feel at 2-0 up, a team that hasn't beaten anyone in the top 10, one team since December, a team that is struggling to get into that top 6, forget top 4, top 6, at 2-0 up, the first 10 minutes of the second half, squeeze, get compact, drop 2 in front of the defensive line. Let's not give them chances. What we do is we're like, no. We're still going to play like this, and we're going to allow them the potential of creating the chances. The goals went in because of individual errors. You're spot on. But this is where I agree with Sava. We invite the potential for those errors to occur by allowing the attacking opportunity, by not just tightening up for 10, 15 minutes. That's what game management is. That's how Mourinho won titles. This is how Conte, Pep, even Pep, he will put an elite player in front of that back four to protect it, like a Rodri. Okay, he's injured now. He's got to adapt. But he's got far better players than us. So, we don't sign those players. But again, our fans are okay with that for some reason. Okay. I just feel at some point has got to say, I've just got to focus on defending a little bit deeper, even for 10 minutes in the game, until we get that third goal. Then we'll go hell leather again, because now they're broken. But he never does it. He never, ever does it. And I just feel...
Make you right. The thing I see on here is...
I don't rate Udogie as a defender, by the way. I don't rate him as a defender. I want to say that.
I want to look at this one quick between Dave and Sada, yeah? This is going to sound a bit weird, but I'm 50-50 with both of you, but 100% with both of you, because I feel you're both 100% right, but it's a bit of a 50-50 argument. That back line at that time, I know, but you'll get my point when I say it, yeah? Because they're both right. So I have to split it 50-50, but they're both 100% right on what they're saying. That back line was not the worst back line I've ever seen. And people saying it was a Z this and that. No, it wasn't. Only one player. It wasn't the worst back line ever. We have seen 10 times worse with us pushing forward. So on that aspect, you're right.
But against the Brighton team, Dan, that feeds on that. I know. That is bad, isn't it? Because they feed on that.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, where I feel Davey's right there, it's not the worst back line we've seen them do. On the other point of it is, why weren't the players even looking up or doing anything? The manager can't make them do that. I understand that. But then this is where I come over to Sava's side of, shouldn't they know what they're doing by now, what the manager is meant to be hammering into and what to do? And when we go 2-1 down, shouldn't the manager be changing around this crap? And it's down to the tactics that the players are even in that position or even acting like that. Dan, I'm agreeing with both of you.
Yeah. Do you know the more worrying thing for me? Forget who's right and who's wrong in it. The more worrying thing for me is that Ange, at the end of the first half, watched Matoma time and time and time again destroy Porro.
Yeah.
We watched him do it. We all watched him do it. And Matoma put in some wonderful crosses in that first half, right? One, and the glaring, obviously, one was the Danny Welbeck miss, right? Then when he sees him do it again for the first goal, at what stage does the manager turn around and go, hang on, this guy's murdering us, right?
We got to do something.
He just lets him do it again.
Exactly.
And again. And again. And at no stage does he go, do you know what? Right, for example, and I'm not knocking Brennan Johnson, but at no point does he say, right, Brennan Johnson, you need to come off. I need to stick, I don't care, Archie Gray in front of him. You're coming off. I'm going to put Papa Sarr out there to protect Porro. He doesn't ever do it. And
exactly.
He says it, Dan, in his press conferences. That's not us. That's not how we play. This guy does not want to sniff out danger. He doesn't want to sniff it out. He's arrogant.
One other point with him, Sava, yeah? And I totally agree. And I'm sort of going to step back to even what Eugene said. The thing I said on here from the start, and everybody knows it, for me, he had the easiest job a manager has ever had in football of winning this fan base over. And that was just kick the flipping thing forward, yeah? And do you know what? He's still got the easiest job a manager's ever had in football, as far as I'm concerned, because there's still all he's got to do is kick the bloody ball forward, or look like it is. And 80% of the fan base are still bloody happy with it, even if we go and lose 3-2 and get totally embarrassed like a bunch of schoolboys in the second half.
Dan, to sum up what the two guys have, to sum up what the two guys have been saying, if you're talking on a micro basis, where you were just talking about today, yes, individual errors cost us. Balls come across. I don't know whether Mickey got a touch on it when it came across. I couldn't see. I don't know if you guys watching it on telly.
He got a little touch. He got a little touch, yeah.
He got a little touch. Udogie made a pig's ear of it. The second goal, he's lost the ball. Between him and Mickey, they've just let the guy walk through. And the third goal, Benson Court should have cleared, but Udogie's let the guy break through on the right. They're all... And I mean, that's right in front of us, and we're screaming like Benson called, put it into row Z. And they're all individual errors. So on a micro basis, individual errors have cost us the points today. on a macro basis, where you're talking about his tactics per se, it's chaos. Every single thing is chaos.
Ian?
And
Yeah,
Just to
because,
add something.
and
Let him
because
finish.
it's
Let him finish.
chaos,
Let him finish. Let him finish.
and because it's chaos, little tweaks like put somebody in front of Porro, double up on Mitoma. If he's the danger man, double up on him. If Johnson's not dropping, hook him. Simple. If someone's not doing their job, and none of them were doing their job in the second half, none of them. I don't believe, apart from Vicario, who didn't have a chance with any of the goals, he must have been standing there watching the 10 of them, thinking, "What on earth is going on?" That's like talking about from one extreme to another, from first half to second.
Just
Ian, well said, mate.
To be honest with you,
That's a good summary.
we didn't see much of Mitoma first half. We didn't see that much from where we were.
No, honestly,
You've got a much better view. We were right at the top. We had a great seat. We were right behind the goal, back row. So you're seeing everything's moving so quickly. You've got a much better view and a much better take watching it on television tactically of what's going on, because you're on halfway, aren't you? And you're seeing everything in front of you. But that's the difference, micro and macro. Unfortunately, these tactics do not work. We can flat track bully various teams, but when you come up against cute managers who know how to take our tactics apart, the problem is Ange doesn't know how to change it. He's not good enough. He doesn't understand. He's not a football student, and he cannot change it. Can you imagine Conte and Jose leaving it till the 79th minute to make a sub? I remember we were 2 down to Olympiacos. We're 2 down to Olympiacos. He hooked Dyer on 28 minutes, Jose. We ended up winning 4-2. It was just appalling. The second half was a complete shambles. And from the equalising goal, even if it was Archie Gray, you bring on it should have been Basuma. Bentancur wasn't having the best of days. So bring on Basuma, bring on Gray. They're both central, they're both defensive, more defensive than Bentancur, who for me is an 8, has been playing really well this season, but he's an 8. And we're trying to play the way we're playing without a proper 6, which is a nonsense as well.
But
change it. There was nothing done. And in the end, they went through to it. And he left it another 13 minutes while they carried on attacking.
Just to add a quick point.
Do you think? I'll let you speak. I just want to ask Ian one question. Ian, do you think? Right, I know that Porro and Udogie, the way they play, the tactics suits their kind of attacking style. Do you think Spurs, realistically, given the league we play in, we need proper defenders at the left and right back position?
Absolutely,
like proper players that can defend.
If you had
Walker and Danny Rose, they could both defend those two.
If you had a back three, you could play Porro and Udogie as wing backs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because you've got cover there. You got cover,
and for me, he's not going to adapt, is he? He's not going to change his 4-4.
That's the problem. Porro and Udogie are not fullbacks; they're wing backs.
They are wing backs.
But
exactly, mate.
Sure, no, I can agree with you. They're not fullbacks, but it doesn't matter.
So again, you've got round pegs in square holes again.
Guys, can I ask a very simple question, right? In that first half, right, we were performing to a certain standard at a certain level, but how could it have just dropped off like 100% in the second half? Right?
Because, Eugene, they thought they'd won the game and they came out and they were totally unprofessional. They came out thinking like, they're fancy Dans. Sorry, they came out. They should have carried on the way they should have gone out and said, right, second half, we're 0-0 or we're 1-0 down. Let's go at them, boys. Let's keep it going.
Complacency, mate. It's called complacency. Deepest, you've been trying to say something for 20 minutes, mate. Let him say something. I know I ain't the best.
Yeah, finally.
Go on. He's been trying to say something for 20 minutes, poor fella. Go on, mate.
Yeah, it's okay. No, thank you. No, just quickly, I'll just say, I know they're not fullbacks, Porro and Udogie, but it doesn't matter. They still can do a job defensively. But you need to ask your forwards, especially Werner and Johnson, to double up on them. And the fact that he didn't even mention once to Kulu, or actually go on double team on Mitoma, it's actually a shocking decision. And the worst part that really killed me the whole entire game? After the 3-2 from Brighton, he made 2 subs, the Brighton manager. and then we decided to make the Bissouma and Pape Sarr sub. So what is the point of doing that? You have a team that is 3-2 up, and then they decide to make subs to then not concede a third goal. Honestly, this manager is clueless, and the sooner he's gone, the better for Spurs. And honestly, I actually feel bad for players like sure Dragusin. I don't rate him as much, but you see him like just sitting on the bench, and I can bet he can do a better defensive job than most of these players.
He's not in the Highline. He can't. Not in the Highline.
No, but like you're 2-0 up, you can put Dragusin in the back three, just protect the lead. But he never did it.
He will never do that, Trace.
Can I offer a theory to Eugene's question? You just said, the drop off from the first half to the second half.
Yeah.
For me, I've said this all along. No team can play like that for 90 minutes. The way Tottenham play in patches in that first half, it's impossible to play and press and do that for 90 minutes. And you see it nearly every game. We get to about 60 minutes, you can see your legs are starting to go. We're suddenly, I don't know if you guys realised or noticed, Brighton started to win every second ball because you can't play that way for 90 minutes. What the top managers do is a brilliant thing that our fans mock them for. People always go, oh, Man City, they keep the ball, it's boring. Oh, Arsenal, sometimes they just sit in and defend for 20 minutes. Yeah. These teams do that for a reason. These teams realise you don't need to be in the ascendancy for 90 minutes. You have to manage games. And we're the only club I know that are 2-0 up, away from home, can't just go, let's have a breather. We have to keep going and going and going. And slowly but surely, you watch how the players stop getting back. First half, you watch Kulu, Maddison, Bentancur, their tracking back is superb in every game. Second half of games, the tracking back isn't there because, like human beings, they get tired.
So
I just went out.
Man United last week, the 10 minutes they had, our boys are off their feet.
Agreed, Ian. And that's what showed me it. I was going to say that. That's what showed me it. Even against 10-man Man United, there was a 10-15 minute spell in the second half where we looked tired and Man United started to carve out some opportunities.
Yeah.
And in-game management, that doesn't happen. And don't get me wrong, it's going to happen every now and then. But this is us every week. And we will get away with it against Qarabag. We will get away with this against Coventry. We will get away with it against a horribly dysfunctional Man United team. But again, this season, we've played 3 top 10 sides. We've played Newcastle, lost. Arsenal, lost. Brighton, lost. This isn't a coincidence. These tactics don't work for 90 minutes against better football teams. We will probably batter West Ham when we come back. At home, crowds up for it. West Ham are figuring themselves out with 7 or 8 new players. That's fine. Then the moment we play another top team, it will be the same. We'll start like a house on fire. Then we'll start to fade away and fans will start blaming anything but these tactics. Don't work. It doesn't work.
I've been saying for a long time and agreeing with you before you even came back on here and everything and that these tactics, they might win a cup. Might. And that is because you can win a cup with a bit of luck, yeah? But sure. I don't care if this man has got not just the best defence, but the best team the world has ever seen. He still would not be able to win a league with it. Why? Because even those best players ever are not robots. No tactics like this could ever win a league just being that high pressed all the time, just running about that much all the time, non-stop, with at least for 10 minutes in a game, even if you're only 1-0 up, right, let's slow ourselves down for 10 minutes, come back a little bit, but hold on to the ball, pass it about, slow it down, piss the other team off, and then we go back into gear again. Nope, gung-ho, 24/7, attack, 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 attack.
Exactly.
Top Barcelona team, never done that. One of the best teams I've ever seen on this planet at a time, personal opinion. That AC Milan team, Never done that. But they were very attacking, especially for a bloody Italian team. When you go back to Jose Mourinho's Inter, never done that. Real Madrid's never done that. Some of the most attacking style teams I've ever seen, even though they had a defensive manager, they always knew when to sit back a little bit, even if they didn't have to take the crap. They knew when to sit back a little bit and just calm it down. And then get their shit together again and wait, let's go score the third. Let's go score the fourth. Let's go obliterate them.
And
They always knew when to slow down.
Do you know how you know he's not learning? Right? And we're not getting better. Somebody sent me, I think I might have sent this to you. I don't know if I sent it to Stella or not. Somebody's put a graph, an Excel spreadsheet together of all the teams we've played this season, last season's results versus this season results. And do you know what? They're all identical apart from one win away at Man United. So on this, and obviously the Leicester game.
This was my argument. This was my argument.
Worse off there as well, sad.
Hang on. I hate to break it to you. Leicester weren't in the Premier League last year.
No. But a promoted team that came up, we won all 3 away games last season against promoted clubs.
Fair enough. Okay, if we add them in then, if you actually look at it then, that would make us -1 on points. Everything is the same. Everton is the same. Brighton is the same. Newcastle's the same. Arsenal's the same. Our fans are out there still giving it but the manner in which we lost this year was better. Everything is the same. At the end of the day, I'll say this. There are so many people so far up Ange's backside. It's hilarious. This is the worst start. This is the worst start of any manager since one day Ramos when he got sacked. That is embarrassing, isn't it? He's had nearly £400 million and he's had about 14 new signings, 15, 16, whatever it is. And you get to that second half, not one of the new signings came on. Not one of the new signings comes on. I'm embarrassed. I'm really embarrassed.
Do you guys like with Ange's tactics? I do think there's a way it could work, right? My biggest issue, though, above anything else, is if he's going to persist with these tactics, I've got to question all his signings because Gray and Bergvall, and we had a massive debate about this the other night, they're not getting a look in the Premier League. So what have we signed them for? If they're ready, they come on. Then you look at Solanke. He's not that striker. He's not that Berbatov, that Sheringham, that Klinsmann, that Kane. He's not. And I see it. I see it when he plays. Then you look at Werner. I mean, Werner is an abomination of a signing. It's an absolute disgrace that he's at the football club. Again today, I don't care if he played a 5-yard pass to Maddison, who scored and got lucky that the goalie didn't save it. Werner's display today was shocking. Then you look at Odegaard. Okay, he's injured. We can't really criticise him. We've got a young lad coming in January. He's not going to be the answer. 18. We've got no idea. He's going to need time to settle in. I just feel that when you think of teams that play this high-line, aggressive, free-flowing football, the teams that have won the big trophies, Barcelona, Liverpool, Man City, when you look at the players they sign and you look at what we sign, you can't tell me we're even close to that level. We don't sign players of that caliber. So, Ange, I'm sorry, he thinks his tactics are going to work. I think he's massively underestimated the quality of player you need in this league. Massively.
The problem is
because they're his signings. He said it. They're on me. All right, show us. Because Adogi, Spence, none of them can defend against the top teams. None of them know how to defend.
But they're all Ange players he bought, right? They're all Ange players. They all fit his system.
Porro and
Spence.
Spence.
None of them come on.
Yeah. Like Maddison. Where was Maddison second half? Where was Maddison? Kulusevski looked really good first half, second half.
You're not
Still, these are the same players that go missing under pressure, not just under Ange. Some of them went missing also under Conte, under Mourinho. They went missing in those. We still don't sign quality, oven-ready quality. Great. Or if we're going to sign a youngster, they've got to play from day one. Like Sava mentioned, there's a couple of young kids that played today. There was one called Baleba.
Quality.
Oh, I forgot. Right. Yeah, but here's the thing. We know he's quality. Do you know why? He plays every week. He plays. Our youngsters don't play. Anyway, Lee, welcome to the show.
Still,
Yeah, Ian,
Mate,
go on, Ian, go, then we'll go to Lee.
no. Still, the budget that he is given. Let's not talk about. I'm not talking about his choice of players. The budget he is given.
He's accepted that budget, though, as part of
is not conducive to going out and buying the 3 or 4 quality established players that we needed to make this team competitive. For me, I'd have gone. It's the players of the quality of Isak, Eze, Polinia. Get those 3 or the equivalent, and we have got a much better side that is going to be competitive and is going to challenge.
He didn't want them, Ian. He didn't want them. He said the signings. He said they're on me. They're my signings.
Still, if you're working with a budget of, he had a net spend of about 25 million this year.
Okay, so then, instead of signing 5-6 players, sign 2 top draw players that actually run a game of football. Exactly. Last season, we signed 10 players last season. Dragusin sits on the bench every game. Solomon came in, came out. Veliz came in, came out. What are we doing? Here?
One quick point for them to go on. One quick point, yeah? And I know this will tickle a few people. Archie Gray. No problem with him today or whatever. No, just want to mention this, yeah? No problem with him today. He done nothing wrong. Poor boy didn't even get on the pitch, yeah? Again, why the hell do we spend 40 million on a player like that who is not ready for the Premiership, along with other young players that we had on that subs bench? Why do we literally waste the money on Archie Gray when today has proved my point? Fact. Yeah. This is no fiction. This is fact. They did not got brought on this pitch today because they had no chance of changing that game in any sort of manner because they are not ready and not qualified yet.
I disagree.
Let me finish then, Ian. Let me finish then, Ian, and say your bit. Let me finish then. No, let me finish. No, I ain't done yet. They didn't get brought on because they know, Ange knows they ain't changing no bloody game because they ain't good enough to do it yet. Give them 2 years, they'll probably be excellent.
Dan, imagine.
But at the moment, hang on, Dietrich. But at the moment, they're not ready. Blatantly not ready. That is why he brought on Basuma and Sarr. If them 2 were ready, Archie Gray would have already been on the bloody pitch as a right back or something to cover bloody Poro's arse. They are not ready. What a waste of money for this season and probably next season of over 65, possibly 80 million when they're sitting on the fucking subs bench and can't be brought on because they can't change a game like this when we are up shit street and need something to defend or something to get. No personal problem with the young players, but what the hell is a player who has played 60 minutes here and there or 2 minutes here and there and done 1 season in his entire life in a fucking league that is rated number 10 in the world? What is he meant to do in a situation like this? He can't do anything. He ain't qualified. He ain't ready. So they just sit on the bloody bench, waste another space of a bloody those 265 million that could have gone towards Eze, and we're up shit street. And then people say, "Oh yeah, but Ange hasn't got the team. He hasn't got like the subs to bring on." Well, he fucking chose them. Sorry, man.
He didn't want Eze, Dan.
No, just quickly. Can I add just quickly? Imagine he trusts Mikey Moore, a 17-year-old that has 0 experience in a men's league, over Archie Gray that is £40 million.
And he brings him on 5 minutes before the game ends.
No, it doesn't. No, it just shows you he trusts more. No, trusts more Mikey Moore than freaking
different
Archie
positions
Gray.
as well, though. But different positions.
No, I don't.
As well.
No, it doesn't matter. Still, one of them is 17.
If you're taking off Werner, you're not going to bring on Archie Gray.
No. I'm just saying, like, no. It just shows that he shows more trust in Mikey Moore, even though he's 17, than what's it called? Than Archie Gray, which him and Papis are. There's no big difference. He doesn't rate him.
Do me a favour.
No, he doesn't rate him.
You're comparing a. I mean,
okay, so why didn't he bring Archie Gray over Papisar?
He should have done.
No, but why didn't he?
He couldn't have done any worse.
Is he better than Papisar?
He doesn't like the kids.
What do you mean doesn't like the kids? He just doesn't trust them.
He put more into
the way Mikey Moore played on Thursday, and he gave him 7 minutes today. He
didn't play well on Thursday. That's why.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of Gray. Every time you talk, I just think of Archie Gray.
No.
Every time Ian talks, I assume he's talking about Archie Gray.
Sam, I do talk about other players.
There's no agendas here. No agendas, people. No agendas.
He should have brought. Should he not have brought more on a lot earlier?
No,
He should have brought
We all agree with that.
Werner shouldn't be starting any game of football in the Premier League, let alone Tottenham. I can't stand Werner. He's awful.
He doesn't
man.
play the kids.
He's awful.
Was Lancashire on the bench today?
Pardon?
Lancashire was on the bench as well, right?
Yeah.
Right. So how can we be
Let's bring up the
3-2
bench.
down?
Let's bring up the bench.
3-2 down, and his two substitutions are bringing on two guys that, I mean, let's be fair, Sarr and Basuma, who are not attacking players. Again, for me, if this is all about a project and all about a process, chuck on Mikey Moore, chuck on Lancashire, take off a centre-back or something. Do something. Do something. Not take off James Maddison and put on two central midfielders. It's just
bang, isn't it?
it baffles me.
We had Forster, Spence,
surprise. When we
Dragusin,
were
Bray,
2-1
Basuma, Sarr, Bergville, Moore and Lancashire on the bench.
Still, when we were 2-1 down at home last year to both Villa and West Ham, the Celso would run his course 70 minutes. We're losing the game. Instead of bringing Donnelly on, he brought Skip on both occasions. Nothing changes. Nothing changes.
Maybe they're not good enough. Ian, maybe they're not good enough.
Unfortunately, I can't accept any of these arguments from any fan because across YouTube and across the journalistic world, they're all generational. That's what we were.
Who says? Mikey Moore, I think, is generational. He's the only one. I think he will be an absolute.
He doesn't play, Ian. He doesn't play.
Bergville, Gray, Spence, they're all generational. That's what we're maybe not.
Who says that? No, hang on, still. Who says they're generational? Who?
A lot of
kidding
people
me?
said it.
I haven't seen
No,
it.
every YouTube
a lot
channel
of people
except for
said it.
four.
A lot of people
Every
said it,
YouTube
Ian.
channel
No one
except
said
for
you.
four. Every YouTube channel that says that is a Spurs channel except for four.
I think they're
Only
a bit
four
over.
channels never said it.
It's a bit
Sands
over
nine.
the top.
Even
Yeah.
Mikey Moore's not. Even Mikey Moore, he can't have the word generational chucked at him when he doesn't play football.
It's bonkers, man. It's
Lamin
bonkers.
Lamau of Barcelona is generational because he plays every game for Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs on the world, and every game for Spain. That is generational at the age of 16.
See him put in, Sav? Would you like to see Mikey Moore start?
For sure, I would like to see Mikey Moore start. Yes. But
No, I want to see Werner get one more chance.
We all do,
I think
Sam.
Werner deserves one more chance.
This goes down to more the fact that, sorry, no pun on the word Mikey Moore. This goes down to the fact that Spurs, again, had a shit window. And again, I know that you back them, but instead of bringing in what we needed, we decided to bring in kids who people can keep telling me and blowing smoke up my arse that they're good and they're going to be great. But so great that in any of these games where we're struggling, they're nowhere to be seen. I'm not blaming them, but that means there's a massive disconnect somewhere between Lang, Ange, Levy. I just don't. I don't get it.
Probably is. There probably is.
But Sabah, no, Lange, Levy, Ange never called them generational. It's our fan base that did that. It's the YouTube podcast community. They
No,
created
but
that.
still, that's not my point.
And everyone's like, yeah.
Still, that's not my point. My point is they've gone out and bought Bergvall. We already knew was coming in. Archie Gray, Odeber, and Yang. Right now, other than Solanke, we've decided as a football club, as an elite Premier League football club, right, in one of the toughest leagues in the world, in a season where we're going to have 4 competitions, we've decided still that that's what we need to go into a season with.
I know.
And
We've
then,
said it so many times.
And then the manager's sitting on national TV during the Euros going, really good to play the kids. It's really good. You've got to trust them. You get to a league game and our 40 million...
Trust them.
Something's gone wrong somewhere.
Sava, I've got Spurs fans after the Man United game in the terraces wanting to fucking punch my face because I say these things on YouTube. I'd love to see him now. I'd love to talk to him now after that. Lee, let me bring Lee in. Lee.
Just bring in Lee.
Yeah, go on. Murray. No, Murray. Have you say them, we'll go to Lee. Go on.
No, I
Lee
was
will
just going to
speak
say,
first.
you notice...
We are not shutting the show down until Lee speaks.
And Sava, you notice too on your show and on this show, no one's asking for apologies. No, where are those people who are asking for apologies?
I want an apology from David.
Want an apology from Ange.
You know, no
I want
apology.
an apology from Levy.
Lee, have you say?
No,
Welcome to the
guys,
show,
You
Lee.
just you all look really parched, so I just thought I'd come and get the tea and coffee orders in. What do you all want?
Coffee, please, mate.
Oh, but listen, I was
like
going to
the
save this for.
cappuccino anyway.
Yeah, no worries. Pappuccino, did you say? No worries.
Cappuccino.
I was going to save this for tomorrow night's show, but we're still talking about it, and me been painting all day and high as a kite. I just had to come in and to say, watching this Brighton game today, I've basically worked out Ange Ball. It's as simple as that. I've worked it out now. Ange Ball only works when the sun, the moon, and Mars aligns into a perfect harmony, where basically you have to be playing a team that it has to be perfectly balanced with you. You have to play a team that doesn't low block and doesn't put pressure on you. When you have a team like that, like Brighton was in the first half, i.e. still saying all the space open at the back, but they weren't pressuring us when we were pulling out from the back.
Teams.
Yeah, average teams. Ange Ball looks fantastic, and it reaps rewards. The minute any team, or you come up against a low block, you're stuffed because you just end up playing in front of their defence, or they put a bit of pressure on you where you don't have prime Iniesta, prime Xavi, prime Messi who can keep that ball. Remember that one kid at school that always got the ball and everyone was running around him and no one could get it off him? Unless you've got all of those guys in midfield, it doesn't work. It's as simple as that. We can only play Ange Ball when the football is played on our own terms. Once other teams get involved or change their way, Ange Ball goes out the window. And it's a free-for-all. It's whoever makes the first mistake, whoever might be lucky and get a goal. And then it completely opens up the fact that we have got... The one thing that we all said over the summer we weren't worried about is the defence. And I'm sorry, I think that's the biggest concern for me. Both Romero and Van de Ven today. Van de Ven was off his game today. He wasn't...
I've seen him do.
Yeah, he wasn't on it. And Romero...
I agree.
I tell you what, that guy might as well just sat in the car park and watched it on his phone because he wasn't playing the game at
Lee,
all.
not all of us weren't worried about the defence. I've always maintained I don't think this defence is as good as people give it credit for.
No, you're
right. I don't think individually as defenders they're all very good. I don't
think we were saying we needed to. We didn't need to spend the money in that area. I don't mean not tightening it up a bit, but spend the money in that area where we knew we needed people in the positions like the wings and the number 6 and blah blah blah. But that's it for me. And this comes down to exactly what Sava was saying. Any manager with half a brain cell will work us out in 45 minutes. Because as soon as you see us play and you can see what they need to do to change the game, they do it and we don't react, we fall apart completely. Absolutely. I've never, even my wife, right, who is a Spurs supporter, but only because I am, turned round to me after about 20 minutes in that second half and said, I've never seen such an embarrassing team. I've just watched them for 45 minutes. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. It's like a different team that came out the second half. And I was like, wow, you were actually watching it? She said, yeah, I can't believe how embarrassing this is from us.
My wife said, why haven't they made any subs yet?
Lee, every Monday when we do our shows, right, I sit there and I go back and forth, normally with Iggy, right? And I keep saying we are not this team people are making us out to be. And that these wins against Coventry, Karabag, Ferencváros, United away, Everton, it's eclipsing the reality. And last week on Monday, I was in the minority on that show because everyone was saying, you should just be happy. We went to Old Trafford and I just couldn't let go of the fact it's the worst Man United team I've ever seen us play against in Premier League history. I don't remember us playing a Man United
with 10
that bang average. And everyone said to me, don't you praise the way we played, though? Look at the way we played. And I said, yeah, we did play really well. We did. But they offered nothing. And no one really kind of see it that way. Today, it kind of shows what I was trying to say to people. Any team that can attack down the flanks and they can put the ball in the net, they're going to cause us carnage. Karabag were doing it to us. Ferran Vacos were doing it to us. But in the final
Coventry.
third, they were all garbage. Coventry should have been 4-0 up.
Yeah.
Coventry should have been 4-0 up.
We're just
But
lucky
we
all
got
three of
saved
them
the
couldn't
team.
finish come love nor money. We're lucky.
Yeah, but Dan, here's the thing. If we win against bang average teams, you got to praise because we won. But when we lose, Rome wasn't built in a day. Trust the process. Be patient. How are we operating as fans at this club? I don't get it. I just think.
Let me give you an example, quick. Still, just a quick one, yeah. On some of the WhatsApp channels, some of the WhatsApp talks I go on, they know what I'm talking about. And as all I've had over the past few weeks, is stick on there, yeah, and all you clowns, everything else, and all that. Brian Johnson this, Brian Johnson that, and as all I've said, like I've said on your channels and that, is all right with Johnson. Credit where credit's due. All right, and I'll say, all right, we've won 5 games, but let's see what happens when we play someone decent like Brighton who can tear up a game. No, right, end of the game comes. I go and slam on that channel. Well, now, people, some of us going to step off our high horse and do what we got to do. Give the praise where it's due. Now come on here and do some criticise. Now come on and tell me that was one of the most piss-poor things you've ever seen off a manager in your entire lifetime, that second half. Where do 9 out of 10 of them go? Bang. Not a mention on there. The fact that I can get 3 or 4 other mentions on there with Has before someone even gives us a comment on there. Yeah, it shows how much. It just shows how much some people just like to sit on one side, but can't, for love nor money, admit when they're wrong. Whereas a lot of people like us can put our hands up and say, do you know what? We got that wrong. Give us another 5 games of consistency. I'll even take my bloody shirt off and say, well done. But no, some people just can't bloody admit it.
Can you bring up the league table quickly, Stel? Can you bring up that league table again where you've got Spurs circled? I just find it absolutely hilarious, right? Look at all of those teams, how many they've lost. Spurs, 3. Spurs. Nuno Santos has only lost 1 game as manager. Like, let that sink in. For all the people, don't get me wrong, I didn't want him at Spurs. But everyone that didn't want him, right, this man, at least he's managed to get a defence organised. At least they look
Sava,
like
do you know what that shows? Do you know what that shows? Right? 1-3, lost 3. That is what you call high risk, high reward.
Mate,
high risk, high reward.
You know my word,
what it
consistency. Is. The funny thing is still, we're one of only 4 teams that have lost 3 of the last 5. If you go on to FootMob, where it shows you the table and then the last 5 results, right? We're the only team in the top half of the table that have got 3 red, as in defeats. All of the other clubs have got green and grey for wins and draws. Ours is 3 red, 2 green. And yet the noises.
Oh, sorry, finish that. Sorry.
No, go on, mate. Go on. You want?
Let me Justice Parker. Right. You said our attack did their job today. Yeah, if it's being coached by Tuchel, Jose, Conte, or any manager who's pragmatic, right? 2 should be enough. But since it's Ange, right? Suicide football, right? We have to score 4 and 5 to really be sure or comfortable that the game is over. So yeah. What I'm saying is the attack didn't do enough, right? Because 2 was enough today.
Isn't it ridiculous, Mari, that we can't even think we scored 2 goals and it's enough to win a game? That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
Brighton have a shadow.
It should have been 3 or 4 up in that first half as well. The game should have been dead and buried by half time.
And that's why David, that's why Werner's a problem.
No, I agree with David. No, David, it should always it should be 4 or 5. But the reason why it's not 4 or 5 is because we don't have the quality to make it 4 or 5. Right? We don't have to. But apparently, people say we have that quality.
Solanke only scores tap-ins. Werner does nothing.
Can we ask a question as well about, if we're going to say this about, everyone keeps saying Solanke's perfect for us. Dominic Solanke seems to be playing anywhere but up front. Dominic Solanke seems to be the only striker in the world that is not. Listen, I'm not doubting him. He did some really good things in that first half. He had some really good passes. But have we spent 65 million on buying a number 10? when we've already got Kulu and Madison? He's never up front.
Yeah,
We bought a striker that doesn't go up front. I don't know what we're doing.
He never even plays for a target man. I could understand him as a target man. And from what I've seen on him in bits, I think he's actually quite good in the middle of having the muscle to keep the people off him and not get sandwiched like Son. I think it'd be best as a target man. But again, like you said, Saba, he ends up all over the bloody pitch. And you're like, well, yeah.
Dan,
and plus he gets no bloody service.
Man United reject, Danny Welbeck, right, splits defences, right? He splits the centre-backs. Even their other guy, the midfielder, he split the centre-backs.
Yeah, Rutter. Okay?
Solanke doesn't split the centre-backs. Kane did. Son did. Klinsmann did. Sheringham did.
Still,
Berbatov did. You got to split defenders as a striker. He doesn't split them. He drops deep and feeds players in. That's great if you're going to do the Liverpool way when you've got Salah and Mane and Firmino drops, good touch, feeds them in. Brilliant. We don't have Salah and Mane. We got Odbert, Werner, and Johnson. It doesn't work. Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's comical, mate. You got to laugh at that one. You got to laugh.
Well, that's the system, isn't it? Those are the tactics again.
It's true, mate.
It doesn't work though because we haven't got two.
That's the way he plays.
But I don't think
he's not playing to his strengths. I mean, take Richarlison. Richie's great. Whatever you think of him, he's good in the air. You take the two headers against Marseille. Take the goal at Forest last year when Kulu put that brilliant ball in. But they don't play that way, so they don't play to his strengths.
We play on the deck, Ian. We play
and
on the
we're
deck.
not playing to Frankie's strengths either.
Ian, can I ask you a question? This isn't aimed at you, by the way. Again, people like me and Stel, who stream all the time, we see all these people in the comments that constantly go at us, right? And even when Spurs lose, even when Spurs are battered, even when Spurs lose 5 in a row, do this, there are people that cannot admit anything. Like, have a look in the chat right now. We've got people that defend everything. Porro's out of position. Adogi's out of position. Bentancur's out of position. Solanke's out of position, right? Kulu for a whole year under Ange was out of position. Romero playing in the 6th. They're all out of position. Whenever any of this is brought up, have a look at this. Lena Tuz at 11-18. Solanke only does what's best for the team. Why should he stand around like an unproductive fool in the penalty box when he gets no goddamn delivery? Well, I don't know. Why don't we get a manager then
that's the answer, isn't it?
That coaches the team to give delivery to our £65 million striker?
Right. To put them in the right bloody position.
Exactly.
Put them in the right position.
Play the right players in the right positions in the right system, and this team will do better. We said that earlier, didn't we?
I said that a year ago, mate.
Right. Do you know what? Let me tell you a story. I'm going to link it to Solanke. I had a kid that played for me.
Just call him Lanky. It's funny.
Solanke,
right? So wanky, right? Tommy, look at this.
Tommy.
We've got royalty in
Yo, Tommy, nice beard.
Right, I had this kid that played for me, and I made him a ball-playing sweeper keeper. Every club wanted him. The way he played was magic as a goalkeeper, the modern-day goalie. He went to Spurs, right? Spurs took him in. Within 2 months, they got rid of him. And I said to him when he went in there, do what I've told you. Just when the coaches tell you to do things there, just say yes, but do what I told you. That's why they've scouted you, because of what you've done here. He's gone to Spurs. They've changed him. Didn't last. Because you know what? You've scouted a player that does one thing and tried to make him something that he's not good at. So it didn't work out. Go watch Solanke last year at Brighton. I went and watched some video clips. The way he played for Brighton and the way they played for him is totally different to Spurs. It's almost like, he's good. Let's scout him, but let's make him do things that we didn't scout. I don't get it, guys. We've literally turned a player that was not too bad and making him do things we don't know if he's good at. And I don't think it's working. I want everyone to go watch Solanke. Look at the way Brighton played with him. It's completely different to Spurs. It doesn't work.
It sounds like my ex. She fell in love with me, and we had a good, happy few years. And then when I was still the same person, all these years later, she felt like she needed something else. It's just, I don't know.
Maybe it's just tactics.
Maybe it was his tactics. Yeah, he didn't change.
David,
Yeah,
it's all your individual errors,
he just
mate.
stood there with his hands in his pockets.
You weren't pressing high enough. You weren't pressing high enough.
I was looking at the floor.
Dave, you have to adapt and look for that right spot, mate.
I've got a couple of super chats and let's get Tommy in. Big up to Ryan, who says, to all those everything, Ange is a con man. It's looking that way. Tim Man, I think as fans, we've overhyped the team thinking they're better than most. Guys, we're a mid-table team with a championship manager. We're not as good as most fans think. I agree. I don't know if everyone else does. We'll ask him in a minute. Bertie Hotspur, big up. Solanke is the new Loriente. We're going to find out, that's for sure. Tommy, how you doing, man? Long time.
All right, man. I'm all right. Look, I know you're I don't know, a few hours in at the moment. I thought, this is going to be a long one. Given what's happened today, this is going to be a long one, so I'll show my face for a little while. So I've been listening intently, and I know what we're talking about at the moment, Solanke. And it's, 65 million pounds. Solanke, where's he coming from? Bournemouth? What's their prediction? What's their ambition every season? It's staying up, isn't it? 65 million pounds. Richarlison, Everton, what's their ambition? He's our next big signing, 50 million pounds. They should have been relegated. Last 3 seasons, Everton should have been relegated at least once. We're getting relegation for the players. Who's the next one? Madison, 40 million pounds. Good player. Leicester got relegated. We're either signing bottom level clubs in the Premier League, bottom players from bottom level clubs in the Premier League, or teenagers. 80 million pounds on teenagers this season from Burnley relegated over Burt. Sweden, what was it, 27th, 28th best division in the world, Bergvall. Everyone's telling me he's going to be a baller. Gray, 17, 1 year in the Premier League, 40 million pounds. This is where we're at. Look, don't get me wrong, and tactically he's inept, but you can't bring these players in and expect to be competing for titles. It's never going to happen. We've got to, in a way, I think sometimes we've got to zoom out again, get off Ange's back and look at the ownership. Because what manager's coming in now? Let's ask the right questions. We never ask the right questions. If Ange goes, who's coming in? We've got no Kane and Son. Yeah, Conte came because Kane and Son was there, got a lot of money. Who's coming in next? Because, we've been playing attacking football. This is what the fans deserve. The fans just want to see attacking football. It doesn't matter if we lose 2 games and win 2 games, as long as we play attacking football. So who is there available that will come to Spurs? I'll tell you who. There's another one. There's Tuchel, right? Everyone's talking about Tuchel. Yep. More defensive than anyone. Spurs fans won't take to him. No chance. Never. They're never going to take to him.
But he'll play him in the right way, Tom. He'll play him in the right positions. Like me and you said, basically 10 months ago, when I mentioned it and you went, yeah. And then we thought about it and had a chat about it. Whether we like it or not, don't want to go back to the old managers, but this team, play them in the right positions. They're all fit for a bloody Conte or Tuchel style. And I think, all right, some Spurs fans not be like it, but you will see good defence and then you will also see fast counter-attacking football. Not crap like when Conte had us because he had no one who could bloody do it and he had fucking Dyer, Sanchez and Mickey Mouse in defence. You could actually see something solid out of this team in the right formation with the right manager. And for me, someone like Tuchel, whether we like the defensive style or not, he is the right man for this style of players, I personally think. Opinion. And me and you agreed on that with the Conte one.
Tommy,
can we stop this notion of which manager will join us? We say this every single time we change manager. Managers are going to join Tottenham, whether we like it or not. We pay well to our managers. We're a Premier League team in Europe. Managers will join Tottenham Hotspur. This notion that, if Ange was to go, I'm not saying sack him, but if Ange was to go, no one will want to take the job. Of course they will want to take the job. There are managers out there that work with a lot less than what Ange has and get a lot more out of them. We just never pick a sensible one.
Sav, will the right managers want to join Tottenham? That's the question.
There will be managers that will come.
There will be managers that will come. Personally, I'd like Eddie Howe.
Gareth Southgate will come, right?
I think Gareth Southgate would actually do better with his team than bloody Ange.
Dan, that's
not that I want him. Not that I'm
not over Ange.
He'd actually do better.
Murray, Murray, you were going to say something. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say any practical manager who's up 2-0 would have in my opinion, would have said, oh, okay, we are going to protect this 2-0 lead and try to counter. Today, I'm talking about today, any practical manager would have made an adjustment defensively today. And so, yeah, you post that question about, the manager, but in regards to today and situations that we may be in later on in the season, I think most managers will be able to make that adjustment. I don't believe my manager can do that. He's just too stubborn. And that's the criticism he's getting from us, but also by the pundits on TV. They're just saying Ant is just too stubborn.
Thing is, Murray, you watch a lot of football across the world, right? I try to watch every league possible, right? There are really well drilled teams all over Europe that have got much less resources than Spurs, can't spend 15, 20 million pounds on a player. I just think this notion, I feel like we keep talking about like we need a top manager to come in. I don't think it needs to be a top manager. I think we just need a manager that is innovative, that is open to change. Like look at Brighton right now. They have a 31-year-old manager who at half-time realised, I've got to mix this up. And he bloody well mixed it up, made the changes, not scared to play the younger players, breath of fresh air, right? That's at Brighton. We're Tottenham Hotspur. No offence to Brighton, but we're Tottenham Hotspur. If you go and scout properly, there are managers all over the world. Just because our fans don't know who they are because they only watch the Premier League, there are top managers all over the world doing bits, right? Go and get one of them. Go and get a manager that actually wants to have.
Okay. Would you say Ange is a top manager before we appointed him? Was Ange a top manager?
No. Was Ange a top manager?
No. So why did we appoint him? Why was Ange the only manager we could get? Why did
he done it in a league ranked lower than the USA league, for God's sake?
No, because Ange is cheap and he's a yes man. Simple as that.
Tommy, he's a yes man because the top managers, they've seen what's happened to other top managers. And they're going to come in and have demands. Levy's not going to have that ever again. So Ange, and this is why I've called him a yes man, he will do as he's told, this guy. That's why I think he's good. He's basically an experienced Ryan Mason. He's an experienced Ryan Mason.
Just to counter one thing, he was he's the first manager under Levy that was backed. And when I mean backed, I mean like financially, like almost like 500 million.
He hasn't been backed. No.
Yeah, he has. No, I'm saying close to 500.
Most of the 500 million has been for Rishi.
Ange way more than others. Now, Ian, but hold on. Dietrich's got a point here. Ange has had his way more with transfers than other managers, as far as we're aware.
Any other manager.
And he was backed, Ian. He even said it. I'm taking his word. You might disagree. I'm just saying, like, he said I was backed.
Yes, he said that, Dietrich, but you know it's rubbish because he's.
I know it's rubbish,
isn't it?
Ian, I know it's rubbish, but you don't say something if you don't believe it. Like every top manager would not say that.
I just failed to believe that with nearly 400 million spent, that this guy can't get us defending better and can't strike a balance between midfield and attack. Now, there's a lot of questions, right, as to one, does he want that? Which apparently it looks like he doesn't. But for me, there's been a lot of money spent. And you're not telling me that we couldn't have got better players for the same money. Like, listen, is he back? This is always going to be a question thrown at every single football manager. But all I know is this. Would anyone turn around and say, is Thomas Tuchel back at Brentford?
Sorry, all
that talk of Tuchel. Is Thomas Frank back at Brentford?
Sava, one point with this quick, well, I agree with you, the one I do find critical is when people turn around and say, well, you go do a better job, whatever, and that, right, I'm going to say something here, I could have done a better job than what Tottenham have done on picking a player for 40 million to play at Tottenham Hotspur. I don't give a fuck what anybody says to me here. Fact. I could have found a better player there. Anyone on this line on here could have found a better one for 40 million.
Are we saying that we only buy one player? The whole problem was that they didn't bring in established players with the kids. Nothing
No,
wrong with buying kids if you think they're great kids. But bring in the.
You know, you can only buy one or the other. You buy the bloody established ones that are going to win you something, and then bring the kids into it. Not the kids to sit on the fucking bench and do nothing.
Dan, the whole thing's nonsense. This is a club that, with a 550 million turnover, they're bringing in more revenue than ever before, more events than ever before. Season ticket prices are going up.
Ian,
The beverage prices are
Still
rocketing.
spent 65 million on kids where they could have got two better first-class players for that money.
Right, there's two different arguments here. Hold on. Ian's arguing that the club, no excuses, should be signing both. Dan's argument
They
is
should be.
But if you as a manager know you're only getting one, bring in the experience, not the kids.
But we
If
all
it's
know
one or
at
the
Spurs,
other.
it's one or the other. It's never both.
Can I
So
ask you
the
a
most-
question?
Should be both. And Ian is
No,
right.
let
It
me ask you a
should be
question.
both. But it's not Ian.
Okay, so all right. So Dan, here's a question for everyone. Right, we lost to Brighton 3-2 today. Last year we lost to them. They had a different manager, De Zerbi. Okay, so
Or two.
do Brighton right now have a better manager than Spurs, or do they sign better players than Spurs, or is it both?
Both. It's both. Because if you look at the transfer market, when they sell a player, they go and spend it on good quality. And look at the players they had today. Sure, they're young, but they have a little bit of experience. And
Most of their players are unknown as well, though.
no, they're not. The kid that just bossed the midfield, he was playing well in Ligue 1 for Lille. He was a good player.
He scout very well, and
They scout really well. And the left back,
None of us knew his name before he came to
I swear, no, I'm not even lying.
And they're big.
I watched Lille.
Star used to play for my club.
You're talking about fans in general. No one heard of this before he came to Brighton.
No.
Sorry?
Wait,
No, I didn't hear the question. Sorry, could you repeat?
In general, most fans never heard of the player before he came to Spurs. Like Mickey van der Ven, I'd never heard of him till he came to Spurs.
No.
Yeah, but that's why you have scouts.
Most fans don't watch football. For example, their best player, like talented player, is on loan right now. He used to play for Boca Juniors. My
No, he's not that good. Stop
Oh
lying.
yeah, Valentin Barco is so amazing. He's gonna end up being moved from wing back to a forward. Very, very, very talented. And they were able to scout him. They actually beat City for his signing, right? And they put him out on loan because they're doing it the right way and having him progress. Brighton does it the right way. They know how to scout. They know how to scout talent.
But we go and get a player that has played very well in Serie A, bring him over here, i.e. Dragusin, fine, he don't look right for these tactics. But we bring him over here and he just sits and rots on the bench and does nothing. And maybe sees a couple of minutes here and there. And when he does come on, he looks that bad because he's so bloody rusty and not match fit that it ain't doing him no favours. So by the time we bring on Gray, or by the time we bring on Bergvall, who see 2 minutes here and then maybe 60, 70 minutes in a bloody European game against some team called bloody Carrier Bag, for God's sake, they're going to come on and look absolutely crap as well. The whole thing is just crazy.
Isn't a lot of it to do with, look, one thing that's thrown at me a lot, and it's probably thrown at a lot of you as well, is, oh, you want everything right now. And I don't want everything right now. I just can't believe it's that difficult to go out and scout decent footballers. Like, I watch games, as I said, I watch games. I know, Mario, I know you do as well. I'm sure a few of you others do. I watch games from all over the world, and you look and you go, he's a good player. He's a good player. He looks good. Oh, I saw him last week. He really stands out. But Spurs never seem to get that. And I think that was a good point Tommy made. I don't agree with Tommy in the main, as you know, Tommy, but I think it was a really good point about where we go and get these players from. Like, you know what I mean? When we got Basuma because he had 1 year left on his contract. Correct. We got Madison because his team had got relegated and he had 1 year left on his contract. Correct. Right. Richarlison, we got because Everton were in financial trouble and his best ever season was 13 goals. Yada, 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 yada. Yeah. He never ever, like, if you're going to go, and sorry, I know you'll probably disagree with me, Ian, if you're going to go and spend £40 million on a teenager, Go and buy 3 teenagers at £10 million each. Loan them out. Go and buy 2 or 3. Spread your bet. Instead, Spurs go the complete opposite. We won't go and buy a proper top quality wide man. We won't go and buy a proper top quality winger, but we'll spend 40 million on an 18-year-old. And again, this is nothing against Archie Gray, but this is about Tottenham right now. For that money, look at the young players Fulham have signed. Brentford went and signed. Brighton signed today. All of these clubs are finding these people. Matt's FIFA. I'm not saying he's a kid, but he was, 25 million euros? Who's scouting that and going, yeah, that boy can walk straight in our team? Spurs are going, 40 million, that's who we want to spend to develop. You don't develop a 40 million pound player.
No, you put him straight in.
You know what? You know what, Sava?
And do you know what,
you can extend that to the experienced players as well.
That's what they should do. They should stick Gray straight in. I'm sorry, because Bentancur's not a 6, Basuma's not a 6, and Sar's not a 6.
Yeah, we don't have.
There is a 6. Bentancur done it for 4 years at Juventus. He's a 6.
And because we signed those players that Sava just mentioned, they haven't got a winning mentality. They just have not got that winning mentality. The Richardsons and Slade. And with that, and the constants of the young players, that's fine when you're a winning team. When you're winning trophies and you're competing for titles, you could chuck the odd 30, 40 million pound player in and mix them up with a squad with a winning mentality. But you're bringing young players in to a squad with a losing mentality who are not getting minutes on the pitch. It doesn't add up.
Tommy, if you've got owners that don't have a winning mentality, and if you have owners that don't give the manager a proper budget to go out and strengthen the first team in the correct way, this is what you get left with.
And this is the manager, which is my point. This is the manager you get left with. And 8th or 9th, this is what the fans deserve. If the fans
that's where we'll finish. And that's where we'll finish this season.
8th or 9th. So it's not about whether we want Ange in or Ange out. This is the level of manager we're going to get. He's an average manager.
But Tommy, for the owners, it's profit in front before glory. So they're happy. They've made another God knows how much today on the NFL. They'll make the same amount next week on the NFL. There's more events. There's 30 events next year instead of 16.
Yeah.
So they're happy. The ground's full every match. They don't need to go and spend. They don't need to go and spend 85 million on Guy Carez. They don't need to spend this money on these better players because the fans are pouring in, and the Spurs shop. There's God knows the queues going. God knows how long from the tills. They're laughing. They've smashed the food and the drink up in the grounds. Everything's gone up.
Ticket prices are going up every other year. The season ticket price is going up every other year. The single ticket price are going up every year. The concessions have gone.
Exactly. It's disgraceful.
Silly.
It's not geared to their profit. That's it.
Ian, can I back on? I'm agreeing with what you say here. I'm just looking at, for example, the team that are top of the Premier League table right now, right? I'm looking at their midfield, right? Liverpool spent a combined total of £64 million on Ryan Gravenberch and Alexi McAllister, who are currently, as the kids would say, balling out for Liverpool in midfield, right? You think Spurs spent more than that on Odegaard and Gray, right? This is just the levels where we're at.
I think they haven't played anybody higher than 9th yet, Liverpool. So let's see when they start playing the better clubs.
Sure, we can say that, but these two were in the team. Hang on, Ian. These two were in the team last year that finished third, won a trophy. Look, the levels are beyond belief. The levels that someone has gone out and gone, right, Alexis McAllister from Brighton, 40 million euros he was. Boom. Yeah. Spurs in the same breath go, we don't want the World Cup. I'm not saying, but just for comparison, the World Cup winner, 40 million euros, really experienced midfielder. No, we're going to go and take a kid from Leeds for the same price. So I think when we're talking about Archie Gray, the difficult thing in all of this isn't, is he going to be a good player in the future? Which I don't know. I've not seen anything in him that makes me actually think he's great, but we'll see. The problem is that 40 million, who spends 40 million on an 18-year-old with one
Liverpool are a proper football club. They're a proper football club. Liverpool are a proper football club.
Yeah, but
It's
Ian-
all
Ian-
geared, they don't have skywalks.
Ian, that wasn't my point.
It's all
Ian,
geared to the football.
Ian, that wasn't my point. The point was this: is when we're saying, yeah, we had to buy young players and senior players.
Yeah.
What football club out there in the world goes and spends £40 million on a kid with one season from the Championship?
A team with owners that have no ambition.
But no. If we have no ambition,
The same club that spent £65 million on Implode, who was told by all the big clubs that he's not got the attitude.
We're missing the point. My point is, most clubs would go and buy an 18-year-old for 8 million, 6 million, bring him in, chuck him out on loan, and then you go, right, when that kid comes back, let's see how good he is. Spurs just went 40 million. Something doesn't ring true here. Levy don't like spending big money, but then we spent 40 million on a kid that the manager doesn't play. Something here, guys, for me, does not add up at all. I fail to believe that this has been a conversation had with all parties about, great, you've got to get him.
But it's a constant philosophy. You know, to be fair, that is very, very unique. The fact that it is just one season, as Sava said. One season, you know, usually you have 2 or 3 years at least. Like Davinson Sanchez, that was crazy as well. That was £40 million, and he was 20. Gil, 30 million pounds. Gil was 25 million pounds plus Lamella, which is equivalent to about 35.
Sorry, what, Gil? Sorry, did you say plus
Gil? Yeah, Gil, 19 years old again.
That was 40
at least, you know, Ajax and La Liga, but Championship, as you said, you know, that's crazy money. That £40 million for 17-year-old in the Championship who's played, I don't know, 27 games at right back, 17 games at centre mid. So he's sort of like a versatile player. He's playing centre back for us. So it's like, what's going on here? £40 million, it's crazy money.
My point is, and somebody's not getting it in the chat, my mate Lena's not getting it again, saying you can't compare Archie Gray to Alexis McAllister. I don't think they're getting my point. My point is, for 40 million, what could you get that is not an 18-year-old who's got 1 year from the Championship experience behind him? That's my point.
This is where people think we are purely digging at Archie Gray and others as a person, as a player. We are not digging at him as a person or a player. We are digging at the fact. Hang on a sec, Ian. We are digging at the fact that we spent bloody 40 million on the boy. Not his call, but I don't really care. We bought him for 40 million. Not his fault, but we could have gone and got someone ready now, and I'll bring up a list of bloody 10 of them if you want, that we could have gone and got for cheaper than 40 million, that was ready.
Eugene,
now.
Eugene, can you ban that guy
now
from your channel, please?
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry.
That is the point everyone is making. It is nothing personal, but people defend straight away because they think it is. It's not. It is just the fact that we went and busted 45 million up the wall, basically, for someone to play out of position when we get him, for someone who can't even get into position because he's probably number 7th on there, even behind a player that only cost bloody 13 or 14 million. And then he gets shoved in a centre back for 40 minutes.